guys, welcome back to The Pitch with Sarah and Manny. We are here with Tom from Alcove. How are you doing today, Tom?
I'm well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on because we're kind of doing a restaurant week, and with the pandemic and everything, we want to just kind of touch base with some of our local places that, well, I know I like to go to. So what's it been like during the pandemic? I know you did a lot of takeout, so, what's it been like for you?
It's been a whole new world. We made the decision really early on that we were going to do takeout from day one. So we didn't close at all. I have an amazing chef, Brian Pasco, who he and I decided to hunker down. And from day one, we sort of got whacked around, just the two of us. And slowly we were able to bring back more of our staff as we learned what the needs were for takeout, what people were interested in. And we were able to bring back about 10 team members just on takeout and delivery alone, which was awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. And then, and the waves were different. Each week it was something new. The first week, there was so much, press and energy behind buying gift cards. And then the next week it was about buying merchandise. And then by the third week, you really had to come up with alternative things to do. So we started to do dessert, which it seemed like nobody was doing. Then we started to do cocktail kits, which were really successful. We started to do weekend sort of care packages, if you will, picnic baskets. So each of those sort of items were a progression and an evolution of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, about 10 days ago or 2 weeks ago now, we were told that we could start to do outdoor dining. And we're incredibly blessed to be on Lovejoy Wharf, right on the water. And so we've actually been able to expand our patio to about 75 seats. So
Wow.
It's pretty awesome. And people are coming in, loving it, socially distanced, 6 feet masks when you're up from the table. But we've been able to invite every hourly team member back.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Hey, but being on that note, like, what do you think is gonna happen? Because I know a lot of these states that, I feel opened up way too fast to this pandemic. I mean, you see, like the bad side of it right now. You see more corona cases. Like now they're talking about maybe shutting stuff down. Like Massachusetts being one of the final states that kind of opened stuff up and gave that leeway. Do you think they might be the first ones to say, you know what, let's shut down again right now before it gets worse? Like, what do you think? And because I see the light at the end of the tunnel, like we get to go out to eat now, and it's great. But what do you think is going to happen with all the news from other states?
My hope, I think that the governor has been very data-driven on all of this. And I think that the biggest concern is about overwhelming the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they've made very smart decisions about trying to not overwhelm our hospitals and our frontline workers. My hope is that we don't have a surge that's so dramatic that we're overwhelming those people. And don't get me wrong, I don't want anybody to be sick. I don't want I am nervous of the second wave as we're talking about, but that's why we've put in place all of the sanitation practices that we've put in place. It's why we're cleaning every high-touch surface every half an hour. It's why we're wearing masks. It's why we're requiring guests to wear masks when they're up from the table. It's why tables are placed 6 feet apart. Not every restaurant is, from what I hear, don't get me wrong, I haven't been out and about. Not every restaurant is keeping the tables 6 feet apart.
Right.
I think my preference would be to see some semblance of regulation on that rather than a second shutdown.
You're right. I do notice that, but I want to talk about your cocktail kits. There you go, Manny. So Manny bartends.
Awesome. I'm a celebrity bartender in Audrey's in East Bridgewater.
Awesome.
Don't listen to Sarah. She's a high maintenance apple martini drinker, so you can't really please her all the time. But yeah, so it's so I bartend at Audrey's, and it's great to have outdoor seating right now because people are just happy to get outside and get some fresh air and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm hoping that the second wave, but like you said, if people respect the fact about social distancing, the tables, the mask, just being clean, I think, it won't be that bad. And hopefully there's no second shutdown. But I'm hoping, because I know you're doing some great things at your restaurant and stuff like that. Hopefully that me and Sarah can get out there when everything gets better. But you're definitely doing good things.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I see you have a big Father's Day package coming up. Now, that's what I actually noticed that all along you had these awesome things, like there was a roasted chicken dinner, you're doing a big steak package for Father's Day. I think that out of all the restaurants I've seen, you're the most creative online, and you have, and their food, Manny, is great. This is my go-to before Celtics games when we had them. I miss them.
In Boston.
So Mom, I gotta come see you.
Thank you. Yeah. Hopefully the Celtics and Bruins will be back soon.
I know, that would be great. Get everybody, well, we have to stay outside for a while, but you know.
Well, we tried to be really creative. We also tried to offer people value. I mean, the chicken dinner that we do, you know, we were doing $60 for a whole chicken with 4 sides throughout the whole thing, and it really could feed 4 people. And now we're doing it in the restaurant with 3 sides and a little bit cheaper. I think it's like $48 or something. But we wanted to sort of maintain what we felt like was nourishing for the community, for the neighborhood, still have high quality ingredients that were healthy and available to people at value.
Yeah, it's great. And the location is great too. Manny, it's over by, you can get the Zakum Bridge, and it's very, like when you look at their logo, it's of the Zakum Bridge, the A for Alcove, and it's a beautiful spot. So it's like a great spot to go eat and enjoy.
The thing is that when I still played, I mean, I love, you know, I grew up in Jamaica playing. I grew up in the city, like, but living in East Bridgewater and then leaving the Red Sox game, it took me about 6 hours to get home after the game because there's always construction and stuff. So the less I have to be in the city right now, the better. But I definitely got to go if we want to go check out the restaurant. But I'm definitely down for that.
I hear traffic's down, Manny, from those days.
It's down right now, but it's just when I played, it took me like literally like that big dig took forever. Like Storage Drive always shut down. I mean, Red Sox games were as long as it was, you know, and then you get out, you shower, you think you're going to get home at a respectable time, and then I'm stuck in traffic for 2 more hours. I'm like, ah. So, I mean, when I have to go into the city, I go, but if I'm around, I'll definitely stop by and say hello.
Awesome.
So
hey, what do you think about the Red Sox and sports? I mean, obviously right now we should have the Red Sox in Boston right now, but like, what do you think, like, with MLB and the players and what's going on with the proposals and the players not agreeing? Like, what do you think? Your take on that, and do you think we'll have baseball back?
So I'm a lifelong Red Sox fan. I loved watching you play, and I also was lucky enough in my work to work in Kenmore Square for about a decade between Eastern Standard and Island Creek. So I'm very familiar with Red Sox fans and that traffic that you're talking about after the game. I miss it. You know, I think that we as a society, you know, that professional sports are one of the things that brings us together. I hope that the Players Association and MLB can figure out a path forward for this season. But it doesn't seem like to me that the owners are really being willing to give the players what they need to come back safely and sound. And I think that, you know, as a business owner, that was a #1 priority for me. Bringing my staff back was to make sure that we did it in a safe way where they also were able to, you know, make a fair wage and understand the you know, the sort of precautions that needed to be taken.
Yeah, because I mean, for me, I think, you know, at the same time, you know, some of the owners are willing not to play you know, they're like, if we don't play this year, we're fine. You know, some owners are like, no, we want baseball back. And I know as a player, it's like, you know, do you really want to just force these guys to get back onto the field and like some of these superstars like not play happy? Like, you don't have fans as it is already in the stadium, and then you're gonna force some of these guys that they're just gonna agree because the majority rules, you know, and like you want everybody to be happy. So these superstars going out there just to play, I don't think it's going to be good for the game either.
No. And, you know, you're asking people to be away from their families potentially. Like, there's so many challenges to it that I think are you know, that don't necessarily create the best product, you know.
Yeah.
But as a culture, as a society, I think it would be great to have baseball back.
I mean, with everything going on, the pandemic, the riots, you know, the protesting and all that stuff, like, fans, they need something, and baseball is the summer sport to get everybody back on track, I think. So hopefully we have it sooner than later and they come to an agreement.
it's certainly going to be weird to have hockey in July and no baseball.
Yeah, I know.
That might happen though. That's
Right?
crazy. It might happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna have to do like a screen outside where everybody can watch it and feel like they're in the garden.
You're the second person in 24 hours to suggest that.
Always thinking.
Always thinking. I love it.
Always thinking. Always thinking. But I'm thinking you're gonna have apple martinis for me though. Tom
What-
does these
Oh, gee.
awesome special drinks. His charcuterie board is like to die for. But I need an apple tea, Tom.
We'll make
I don't know, Tom. I think she likes your apple martini already. Like it took me. I'll tell you what happened. The first time I made it for her, I could see it in her face. She didn't really like it. You know, I'm not a bartender. I was a pitcher. Like I started bartending
Bartender.
to learn. You know, so I was learning slowly. The first day it took me 4 tries, and then I tell her the owner's gonna fire me if you have me do another one. So then, but I think I perfected it though. I think she's happy now when she comes in. But
What's your recipe, Manny?
huh?
What's your recipe?
Well, the way she likes hers is just the apple pucker with the Grey Goose. That's all she really likes in hers. So, you know, I could get creative. Maybe use a little triple sec or something in there and mix it up. But she's really high maintenance, man. It's tough.
When it comes to my drinks, probably because I can make it better than him. I'm just
Whatever.
Well, anyway, so going forward, what do you think it's going to be like? You know, I don't know, like fall, winter. You know, I don't feel like restaurants. Like, what will they do in the winter if we can't get back inside? You know, especially with that second wave supposedly coming. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to that question. I wish I had a, I wish
Get
I
a crystal ball, will ya?
exactly. But I think for us, we talked about this sort of at the beginning, for us, we looked for creative ways to, engage with our guests still, engage with our neighborhood and our community. I think we'll just continue to find ways that we feel like do that. At some point in time, we're going to reach a point as a society where either restaurants are viable or they're not, and knock on wood, we're not there yet. At least Alcove isn't there yet. Other restaurants are there and have made the decision to close, which is really sad. And I've got a lot of friends that are in that position, but the hopefully we don't have to get there.
I hope so too. And you're doing a great job down there. And Manny and I'll have to put a trailer on the back of the car and bring him in. So I'll have to put him on the trailer and bring him in because he's afraid of that 25-minute traffic we have nowadays.
25. I'll tell you, I haven't been in the city, so I wouldn't know what to tell you about the traffic.
I go all the time.
I think you can kidnap him, Sarah.
I think that can happen. I think so.
No, hey Tom, but I know a lot of people appreciate what you've done because I know a lot of places didn't do takeout or they tried at the beginning and it wasn't too busy. So I'm sure all your customers, like even at Audrey's, we stayed open for takeout, and a lot of people appreciate that. And a lot of small businesses aren't coming back from this. Like and it's tough because I know you got your brand in Boston, you're doing really well, and you guys did everything to stay afloat and get by. But all these small places, like what do you think is going to happen to them? Because I know a lot of places ain't coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really unfortunate. For me, I've sort of looked at it as how do you maintain Main Street? Because there's so many parts about having storefronts that are activated, whether it's, a retail shop or a restaurant, doesn't really matter. It's about public safety, it's about how communities are developed and built and, people who choose to live in them or not live in them. So I think that's sort of a miss that the government has made right now is it has not invested enough in Main Street. I understand that first and foremost, it's invested in individual people and need to make sure that people are housed and clothed and fed.
Right.
But I think there's a second sort of wave and Congress has attempted to make some changes to the PPP to do this, but there's a second sort of wave and concept of like maintaining Main Street for the, the importance of what that is for each of the communities, and so when you talk about, 5 out of 10 stores closing, right? That neighborhood feels completely different. It doesn't feel as safe. it doesn't feel as activated. The services that are rendered for the residents aren't the same.
Right.
You know, so that really scares me. Not from a civil unrest situation, but from a, you know, from a health and wellness standpoint for people mentally and physically, you know.
Right. You know, well, it's crazy times, but we are glad you took the time to sit with us and talk this morning. So thank you so much for joining us. And everybody, head down to the Lovejoy Wharf at Alcove, and the food is so good. I'm telling you. And the appletinis. Just kidding.
That's called, Sarah, that's called the problem. You know, I'm just saying, you know. But Tom, it was nice meeting you, buddy. Hopefully we'll get you back on and this pandemic slowly goes away. And I'll definitely take a drive into the city and go check you out, because by the sound of it, Sarah's like, you got to go check everything out. So I think I've driven by it, but I'm definitely be down there when everything gets better.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Awesome. All right. Bye, guys. See you
Bye,
soon.
Sarah. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.